So I'm Johnny Huang, co-founder of Teratonix. A little bit about what we're doing. We try to solve the problem to power billions of IoT sensors that will be around us for both consumer and industrial application. And most of these sensors are powered by batteries. If for billions of them, you have a lot of battery to replace. So which incur battery replacement costs and battery waste. So we have a solution based on the RF energy harvesting. Essentially, there's a lot of cellular, Wi-Fi, and TV signal around us. Our harvester works like a solar panel that can generate electricity from these signals to replace batteries. We have a patent technology that have very high efficiency. We developed a commercial prototype last year and working on several pilots and raising on capital. For the environmental impact, particularly, we can recover waste energy, replace battery, and enable IoT sensor for circular city application. And for CleanTech Open, it was our first one and really opened many doors for us. I remember we developed our first business plan, first pitch book. Beth, if you recall, this version is probably very different from what the first we had, right? So these are a small factor, but actually very important. Obviously, we learned a lot from the mentors. I would like to point out, because this is the CleanTech Open, we have this very unique shared objective. That's actually gave us a special inspiration, especially at the early stage when we try to build up a venture. Later on, we can go into a little details what we did after CleanTech Open. I think we learned all this opportunity from while at the accelerator, also from other CleanTech Open alum. We basically follow their steps. It really opened a lot of doors for us. In terms of advice, nothing really new you haven't heard of, but I would just emphasize from our own experience, whether you have an idea, a prototype, or looking at a marketing opportunity, really want to have a rapid iteration, particularly for hardware startup, is very important. Early on, you want to get a lot of feedback, particularly those negative feedback are very helpful, and try to be very objective. I mean, we're entrepreneur, we need to be very optimistic, but also be very realistic about what your baseline is. And the other things that always keep trying. We will get a lot of rejection from customers, potential investors. Just one example, we actually did another startup after CleanTech Open. When we first applied, we got rejected. Then when we tried again, we actually got accepted and won the first place. I mean, lastly, this is a tough journey, right? So I think at the end of the day, probably what's important is to have a meaningful experience, and you definitely get that through CleanTech Open Accelerator.